Yeah, young Courtney. The interesting thing about childhood is you don't really know what it's like until you're an adult and you're looking back on it. Because when you're a kid, you're just going about your days with your friends and your family. And I came from a family that was extremely loving. I primarily was raised by my mom and her sisters from North Nashville. My grandfather had a houses off West Trinity Lane. My grandparents in true like black family way were married and lived in separate houses for a long time for reasons that worked out for them. And so my grandmother lived in on a house that was 27th Avenue North, and that's where we spent a lot of our extra time. And that street is like on one end of the street we had a bootlegger, and he made his liquor and he attracted certain people.
Thought you were talking about DVDs.
Not that type of bootlegging, like the original bootlegging, okay? The original bootlegging. So he had his whole setup on that end of the street, that block. He had a corner block. And then on the opposite end of the street was like, I mean, I call it like a crack house outlet mall. It was just like house after house, like, just dope house, dope house, dope house. And I remember how protective my family was of me at that time. But my point of bringing that up was I didn't come from a place where there was a lot of money or a lot of wealth. There was a ton of love. There was a lot of hope. There was a ton of optimism, but there wasn't a lot of money. I lived with my grandfather until I was almost middle school. Elementary school, we were kind of like back and forth a little bit. And then my mom eventually got married and we moved out. And then she and my stepdad bought a house. They were both like aspiring entrepreneurs at the time with very different approaches to how they wanted to pursue those dreams. My stepdad was like, risk it all, try everything. My mom was way more conservative. And I mean, they had clashes and they were different in so many ways, and it made so much sense for them to get divorced later on. I think it gave us all more peace, to be perfectly honest. But those were my dynamics growing up. It's like growing up around a lot of people where there wasn't money, but then having parents who were ambitious and really wanted like that American dream, and they were scraping together every crumb that they had to keep the lights on, to keep us fed, and to fuel their dreams. And it just wasn't enough for all of those things to happen. And those stories, a lot of detail in between, but those stories definitely have crafted my ideas about money and my feelings about money.
So you keep growing. Hunters Lane.
Went to Hunters Lane.
Hunters Lane High School. Tennessee State.
Went to Tennessee
For
State.
college. Okay. Now, at some point in your TSU journey, you met Tia. Mm-hmm. Tell me about that.
So we didn't meet at TSU. We had known each other since high school, and we were just friends. I kind of like dated one of her friends for a little while. We were cool. We knew each other that way. But what happened was we had a class together at TSU, and there's so much behind this, but she was in like a health sciences major. She was a occupational therapy, and we had a business class together. And there was really no reason for her to have that class as a requirement to graduate as a health sciences major. And she fought with the heads of her department, fought with her advisors to not have to take that extra class because she already had a really heavy workload. And one thing about Tia was she didn't really lose very many fights. And you would just have to know her to know what I'm talking about. But she did not lose fights with anybody. And even health-wise, she just did not lose fights. In our marriage, even when she was dead wrong, she still didn't lose the fights in her eyes. But the one fight she lost was to drop that class. They did not let her drop that class. And it's fortunate for me, because she ended up being my desk mate. and I was unprepared in the true Courtney fashion. She was over-prepared in true Tia fashion, and she helped me get through some assignments. And after that assignment that she saved me from, we were basically inseparable.